Welcome to this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have Dr. Ravi Iyer MD, founding physician and president of the Iyer Clinic LMG in Fairfax and London Country, Virginia, US. And he serves as the director of clinical research for the London Medical Group, a physician, scientist, inventor, author, and entrepreneur with research publications in the mechanisms of gene controls and several patents on veterinary and human medicines. Dr. Iyer serves as the CEO of Active Power Inc., a nutrition and wellness company he founded. Welcome to the show, Dr. Iyer.
Thank you, Ajay. It was a pleasure coming on.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to have you on the show, sir. And we'll be talking about a lot of good stuff, especially on the essence of leadership and excellence with you. That is a lot we learn from. So first, to understand from you, you talk quite a bit on the excellence part. And I've seen a couple of your videos on that. So firstly, to the understanding, everyone knows about this word excellence, and everybody keeps on talking in their corporate life, even student life, everywhere else, and they have their own understanding in their own way. They define it. How do you define excellence as such?
So, one of the things that people need to understand about excellence is that excellence is an opinion. It is an opinion of other people looking at somebody doing something very well. But the person who's actually doing something very well is not focusing on excellence. He's not focusing on the other person's opinion. He is just doing something and paying attention to the execution of it. So, once you understand that the word excellence is a past tense word, it is an interpretation, it is an opinion, it is an after the fact word, then your focus can shift from the opinion to the action. People who are actually excellent never focus on excellence, they just focus on the action. They focus on how they do it, and usually they are doing whatever they are doing in alignment with a certain set of principles and values that define their action. For example, we in India there was a very famous singer by the name of MS Subbulakshmi. MS Subbulakshmi, when she sat and sang Carnatic music, never focused on excellence. She focused on purity of the sound, purity of the note, the accuracy of the swara, and all those things, and all the details of music. And she sang with a passion that is consistent with her value system. The rest of the audience listened to that and said, "Wow, that is excellent." So, as long as you understand that, then you are actually beginning to walk the path towards excellence. People who are actually proceeding towards excellence usually are not focused on the other person's opinion calling them excellent. They are focused on how they are doing something in connection with their passion and their value.
Right, right, sir. So let's talk about excellence in two settings. One is you in the medical setting, and one is in the business setting, in the leadership. Now, leadership comes everywhere, either it is in the medical line or in the business line. Now, in terms of excellence, how does it work with you when you are a doctor, and how does it work with you when you are running the day-to-day affairs of whatever you do? Do they become two separate things, or are they? How do you create that yardstick of excellence for yourself as well as others who are working for you? Why I ask this is to understand for the business leaders, entrepreneurs who have to, who want to do very good and want to get the best out of others, but at the same time they also have to look at the bottom lines. A profit driven organizations especially, how does that work? Then we'll come down to the leadership part.
So I do not see business and medicine as two separate activities. They are all one, because you have to understand something, that regardless of whether you're running a practice, or you're running a hospital, or you're running a corporation, in every one of these three examples I gave, clinic, hospital, corporation, you are providing a value, a service, and you have to do two things. You have to produce superior quality outcome for the people who come for your service, and you have to produce superior quality outcome for the people who are working for you in delivering that service. So both parties have to walk away from the equation with satisfaction and profit. Now, the word profit is not a bad word. The word profit is a value added word. It means that you produced profit in the customer. In this case, in my case, it is the patient. In the case of a corporation, it is a customer. They came to you, they got something from you, and their life was enriched in that way. Similarly, you produced profit for your employees and for the enterprise, whether it is a clinic, a hospital, or what that means is you produced value that enriched that particular organization. So, in both cases, the principle of leadership is the same, always consistent with number one, what is your purpose? What is the purpose of why you are there standing at the doorstep? What is your goal, your vision of what you want to achieve, and what are the tools with which you are going to achieve both purpose and vision? These are That's all there is. During the pandemic, overnight we had to change our tools and the methodology of how we executed our goals, but our purpose and our vision never changed. Our purpose was to create a safe space for everyone who came, and our vision was to contribute to their life and to preserve their health. Those two, purpose and vision, doesn't change, tools change. Just like that, in a corporation, today you may have one set of employees. These are your tools. Later, those employees may change. Your purpose and vision expands to a larger audience. Therefore, the tools that you use to achieve will have to change appropriately. This is why you have hiring and firing and change in the structure of the tools. But the purpose and vision of the corporation remains constant. And the leader is one who never loses sight of purpose and vision, and he constantly juggles the tools to achieve purpose and vision.
Right, right, Dr. Iyer. So, in terms of a leader, especially if not they are not the top leader but a manager, now they should, and especially again, let's look, even though in terms of business and medicine, they look like to the same if you look at it from that point of view, but from the outside world, a lot of people still consider the practice of medicine as not as a business, even though they know it when they go to the hospital or any other clinic. But in India especially, people still consider it as a much more of a noble place that you are going to get, rather than any other establishment. And so, in terms of excellence and purpose, a doctor who is looking at the patient, how should they define their purpose? Their purpose is to serve the patient, or their purpose is about taking care of the profits of the company. Rather, if it's a medical establishment, if that is the type of task one has been given in terms of making ensuring that okay, you are also contributing in your way, not in a negative way. I'm talking about how should the person focus on that, keeping that purpose as well as excellence in mind. Are there, can they run together, or are they two different things, especially in a medical profession? You know things about, you have been in India, you know things on the ground. Now you look, you are in the US, you handle big teams, you are a part of big medical science research, even clinical trials. So you know things from various perspectives. Your guidance for people who are into, especially into the medicine field, and also perhaps people who are entering into new into entrepreneurship in new ways, how should they look at profits and purpose? Sometimes are they the same thing, are they different things? Sometimes there can be a lot of clash between the two.
It's a good question, and I'll tell you with examples from my own experience in the last 2 3 years. So when I see a patient, when I'm seeing the patient, the only focus I have is what do I do to solve the patient's problem at this point. I am not looking at what is this process going to get paid by the insurance company or the. I absolutely don't look at that. What I look at is I'm going to solve this problem right now, and then after the patient's visit is over, then I look at how do I get reimbursed for what I just did for this guy. So these are two separate uh, events that do not that I try to keep separate all the time. In the pandemic, an interesting occurrence happened in my clinic. What happened was we made a decision to remain open during the pandemic. All the other doctors were closing their office because they were scared about their ability to remain in operation. We decided that no, we are going to not turn away any patient and we will remain open. So we expanded our operations. We told all the sick patients, you stay in the parking lot in your car. We will come out to the car and take care of you. And the patients who are not sick, they were allowed to come into the clinic. So my clinic was 3,000, square feet size. Or overnight, it became 15,000 square feet because the parking lot is another 10,000 square feet. So, so the clinic suddenly expanded in operations, and simultaneously in the community around us, all the clinics were closing operations. So overnight, the volume of patients coming to our clinic quadrupled. From 20 patients, we started seeing 80 patients, and the amount of time to deliver the services remained the same. We could only expand it from 8 hours to 10 hours, but we could not work 24 hours. So, so what happened was the time needed to take care of all the patients compressed, volume increased, and the time to write the notes in sufficient detail and complexity to justify the reimbursement fell down. So what I had to do was take care of the patients first. So I took care of all the 80 patients a day. My notes, my documentation suffered. My documentation was not up to date. 3 months later, there was an audit, and my organization audited me and said, Doc, you did not write the notes to justify what you have built. So what we did was we turned around and we gave back the money. We we voluntarily notified the insurance companies that hey, we our notes were miscoded for a higher amount of reimbursement. They should be coded for a lower amount because the quality of the notes were less. We took the decision to give away the money, but we the patient care remained at the same level. Now, was that a hit? Yes, it was a hit. But the vision and purpose of the clinic never changed. The vision and purpose was to provide superior outcome for the patient, and in addition only be profitable, not be profitable first and in addition manage to produce outcome. So you need to make sure that what is your primary vision and purpose and what is your secondary vision and purpose. Very rarely can both primary and secondary be equal. A person cannot marry two wives and be faithful to both. Cannot be. You cannot serve two masters. At some point there's a superior and a subordinate, and both have to be understood and both have to be managed, and that is the individual choices that every company will have to make.
Right, right. Well explained, Dr. Iyer. With growing grades, a lot of companies are also listed on the stock exchange, hospital chains and all. And sometimes, even of the best of intentions, a lot of that profit is ingrained or weaved into that system, and it becomes difficult. So maybe it will have to be on the patient to decide where he or she wants to get treated as many, they don't also many a times have that choice, because many a times insurance companies will very easily go for the bigger hospitals, bigger chain of hospitals, bigger clinics, and lesser ones may not be covered. And also people are confident that okay, they may have the best facilities in terms of, but that's a wider debate. Coming to the success part of it and the excellence part of it, Dr. Iyer, you say that excellence does not compete. But how do you then define success if it does not compete? If you go for this sort of excellence, you'll be out of the race. Many people call it rat race, but can you not run a race at all like this?
Excellence really does not compete, it never competes, because the person who's excellent at the top of the game, the people who compete are always the ones right just below the top, never at the top. The top remain the top by just focusing on the game, and the market goes towards them. I'll give you an example. Steve Jobs and Apple. Apple doesn't compete now. There was a time when Apple competed. Now the market goes for the iPhone, and they go to Samsung as a second choice. They don't go to Samsung as a first choice. Everyone still wants only the iPhone 11, 12, 13, 14, whatever. They will go to the Android platform either they want to position themselves that, oh, I'm not going to use an iOS. I want to have some position they'll have, but they will. If you ask even them which is the market leader, it's still always Apple, a company that right now has greater value than some many countries' GDP. All right, so but there was a time when Steve Jobs was out of a job. There was a time when there was no real, Apple was, yeah, there is a cute little box called the Macintosh, and, nobody was really looking at it as much like an IBM. So, the so you always compete when you are climbing the ladder of success. At the pinnacle, you don't compete. At the pinnacle, you only stay at the pinnacle, and the effort required to reach the pinnacle is always 100 times more than the effort required to continue to stay there. Because once you stay there, once you reach the pinnacle, the the position of the pinnacle contributes to your staying, and all you have to do is make sure that you continue to pay attention to your purpose and vision. That's all. You don't need to compete with trying to beat off this one, because if you continue to stay close to your purpose and vision, you Lata Mangeshkar, for example, once she reached the status of Nightingale of India, there was no competition after that. Everyone looked at Lata Mangeshkar only for Lata Mangeshkar's certification. You're also good. Ghoshal would go to Lata Mangeshkar for Lata Mangeshkar's stamp. Wow, you are good. All right. Lata Mangeshkar never went to Ghoshal to say, Shreya Ghoshal, tell me whether you are that I'm good. So that is what I'm trying to say is people excellence. Once you are excellent, you don't compete. But when you're rising towards excellence, yes, absolutely, it's a rat race. You got to struggle, you got to grind, you got to work all that. So all this competition is just one rung below the top.
Right, right, sir. So this whole authority, that power about excellence, do you achieve this this stamp of excellence after excelling at your job, or after excelling at that position, and then people accept, okay, you are excellent? How does it
You
work in
you
real
you
life?
you achieve excellence by providing value that no one else can compete with, can duplicate. The Tata Motors is excellent because of the value of the telco trucks, the value of the steel they produce. The Birlas and all of those people, they produce value, and they produce value that cannot be duplicated. The Iyer
Right.
Clinic produces a value that cannot be duplicated. So everyone, Michael Jordan produces a value that cannot be duplicated. Because of that, they achieve excellence. So once you understand that, so the first thing is you need to have purpose and vision. Then you need to understand what is it that you're really good at and what can you do that in a way that nobody else can do. Then you have to establish that differentiation. People call it branding. You know, you do whatever you do. Amul butter produces the branding through that little girl. All right, the Amul girl. So you produce that branding. iPhone produces that branding through that Apple logo of that half-eaten apple. So there is a branding that occurs. Sometimes the branding is through an image. Sometimes the branding is through the reputation of your services. All right. Michael Jordan produced the branding of his unique basketball play, but then Nike came in and elevated that by creating that, because of his brand was his phenomenal jumping ability. He would sail through the air and put the ball into the basket. And my Nike came and produced the shoe called Air Jordan. Now the Air Jordan is a multi-billion-dollar product for Nike, but the branding was his phenomenal athletic ability to jump. That was his brand. And similarly, you identify, in addition to your purpose and vision, you identify one or two things that you can do that nobody else can do equal to you, and then you hammer away at that one thing. You don't dilute your effort. You make that one thing the emblem of your trade, the hallmark, the star. You make that one thing the Mercedes star of your quality. You know, now wherever you go, you have that little star icon on your product. Everybody knows it's a Mercedes. Nobody else wants anything less than that star on their hood. So that is what I'm trying to talk about, is you produce value in a way that nobody else can duplicate, and you heighten, you elevate the visibility of that value in an iconic brand. And once that becomes an iconic brand, you have succeeded. And then all you have to do is maintain the strength and value of that brand. Don't allow anything, any story, any narrative, any action on your part or other people's part to injure that brand.
Absolutely. And now let's come to the role of leadership in providing excellence, in providing value to its customers. Now, how do leaders bring their people together to achieve excellence? A leader may want to achieve excellence, but how do you bring them to come to this excellence part? Is it through the vision? Is it because the employees need a job so they are there? How do you keep them with you when they may not want to be with you during the, like during COVID? You with your team created that situation when others were not working. They had their own reasons, but your clinic was very much open, extended to the parking lot of wherever your clinic is. So how did that happen? How do you bring people to your understanding of value giving, value creation, as well as creating the right sort of excellence and outcome for your customers, your patients in your case? What is, how did you do it? Because that was the most important phase in your life in terms of, you have also written a book on that. That's the backdrop. You have got that book in that, written the Reaper's Dance, 100 days, 1000 days of COVID.
So it's actually a very very relevant question, and actually it is actually the highlight of my experience in COVID. See, before we did decided to do what we did during the COVID, I always had confidence that my clinic was a well run clinic, my staff were happy, they were all satisfied, all of that. But the real test came when I had to ask them, were they willing to put their life on the line? And so when on March 10th, we made the decision of what we were going to do for COVID. March 10th was when the US announced that there was a pandemic. Uh, we in the clinic began to realize that we were heading towards a pandemic by March 7th itself, but the official announcement was March 10th. The we I had a meeting with my staff, and I have some very good staff. I have four people working for me, and these people, the youngest duration has been with me for 12 years. The longest has been here with me for almost 20 years. And I told them that we have a choice. We can either close the clinic, we can to all sick people, which means that I will have to let people go or put them on furlough, and we will have reduction in volume and reduction in income. But I want you to understand, by doing this, your risk for getting COVID is not going to change, because you will have to go home and live at home, and you are still going to be in a community surrounded by disease, and you will get sick at home. So my thing is, the only thing that can be done is you face this head on, and do you trust me to show you how to keep you safe? So if you trust me, I will show you how to live and how to conduct your business such that you are safe. And my staff, my office manager said, 20 years we have followed you. You have never given us the wrong advice. Just remember that we have older parents living with us at home. We trust you if you to keep you safe. So the question you asked was, how do you inspire that? You inspire that by putting yourself at their service. So when once they said that we trust you, the burden from that point was on my shoulders. So I turned around and we instituted processes of keeping everyone safe. We purchased equipment and gear and clothing that would keep them safe. We instituted protocols of safety, and I write about all the things that we did in the book Reaper's Dance. It's uh, in India. It's available on Kindle, so it's only 60 rupees on Kindle. So it's affordable for almost anyone who can read. And uh, my my approach was that you serve. If you want to lead, you serve the people who work, and you put yourself on the line at all times, and you never ever put the blame on them for failure. The blame on for failure is always yours. So you tell them, go ahead, do whatever you want to do. I will be behind you. I'll back you up. I will make sure that I am your ultimate safety net. You can feel free to take risks, and I will save you no matter what. If you are willing to put all the resources at your command in that sense, I promise you your teams will excel at all times. And actually, performance is not one person's job, it is actually the team. And the team only has to step forward, and you just stand behind them and push them and give them the tools and resources to succeed. Set up the situation where they will always win. And then at the end of the day, when all the victory is done and everyone is applauding, at that time you will find the team suddenly will turn around and they'll applaud you. You don't need to stand in front and say, I did it. You know, they will do it. They'll do it for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You have answered all the questions very, very well, and in great detail. And for anyone to follow, I'm sure a lot of this learning will happen as days goes by from this video today, live video, and later on in audio as well as in text, which we will be putting out. There is so much to learn from you, Dr. Iyer, and this is just one podcast. There is the book people will certainly uh, like to read. As you said, it's available in Kindle in India. Other places also, I'm sure it's available in other forms. So certainly people will. What is the best way for them to learn more from you, connect with you, and also, to for people who may want to engage professionally with you, or in terms of your medical help, what's the best way to do that?
Um, you can email me at any time, driyer at iyerclinic.com. Um, I have a author page that is coming up. It's on Linktree. You can go to https colon backslash backslash link dot linktr dot backslash driyermd. I'm on LinkedIn at driyermd. I'm also on Twitter at DYIYERMD. So, you can go to Amazon, go to my Amazon author page. You'll be able to see all the ways in which you can reach out to me. I am usually very good at responding to my emails. Uh, if I can help, I'll help. If I don't have an answer, I'll tell you that I don't have an answer. Um, Not everything can be handled by me, but uh, I'm available. That's all I can say.
Wonderful, wonderful. Being available itself is a great thing in itself, and I'm sure that will mean a lot of things for a lot of people. So, all the good things for a lot of people. As for all the details that you have given, I'll certainly put out the links on the show notes so that people can reach out to you and connect with you much more easily. With this, It's a wrap on this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.
Thank you, Ajay. It was a pleasure.